Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be sharing my 2024 bullet journal setup with you. So I am a little bit intense when it comes to my bullet journal. I spent like an entire week for like 8 hours a day, 5 days, just setting up all of my 2024 spreads. And I also use my journal not just as a reading journal, but as a personal journal too. It's more heavily skewed toward reading, which you will see, but there are some like personal spreads in there as well. So just so that you are aware. This is the journal that I'm going to be using this year. It's from Archer and Olive. I tend to use their journals every single year. I really like their quality and like the thickness of their paper, and nothing bleeds through. And I've just had really good luck with them. I also like that you can buy them with more pages than are typically found in an A5 journal. So that is always a huge plus. In this video, I am only going to be going through my 2024 setup spreads, partially because at the time of filming, I haven't actually done my January spreads yet. And also partially because I feel like they tend to be a little bit more personal. But one thing that I wanted to mention that I incorporated into my 2023 journal, which I'm definitely going to be doing in this one as well, is something that I think other people could probably benefit from too. What I've been doing as a way to kind of keep my digital camera roll under control is at the end of every single month, I've been uploading all of my photos to an external hard drive and then cleaning out the photos that are on my camera roll like by month, so it's a more manageable way to do it. And then when I do that, I take my favorite photos from each month and I just make them into like a collage in Photoshop, and then I print that collage and I put it in my bullet journal. And I think that that has been a really good way to like reflect on what I've done every month of the year, so I can see like what I've been up to and just like have memories that are printed out that I can look at. Physical photo albums like aren't really something that people do very often anymore. I always appreciated all of the photo albums that my mom kept of all of like the memories of us and from our childhoods, and I think that this has been a great way to have it in a place where I will look at it often and like be able to reflect back. So just an idea if that's something that you might be interested in as well. Okay, so that is it, and now we're going to go into the journal setup. So again, this is an Archer and Olive journal. I really like this design. I like that it has a little stack of books on it, a pair of glasses, and a hot cup of what is probably coffee, but I'm just going to pretend that it's tea because I'm a tea drinker. Okay, so first up we have my title page. It says Kristen's 2024 era. This is obviously like slightly inspired by Taylor Swift. I'm going to be doing like a deep dive of Taylor Swift records and music and everything this year, and my friend Alexa and I are likely going to be doing live shows each month about each album, so I thought it would be fun to just like kind of incorporate something Taylor Swift-esque into my title page. And then I also have an open book, which I made with a stamp from the Quirky Cup Collective, and she also did the stamps for the stars. Honestly, that made my journaling experience so much easier this year. I really loved having the stamp. That was really fun. And then I just ordered like an ink pad from Amazon. And then we've just got some washi tape, and yeah, that's pretty much it for this spread. The next spread is my priorities and my goals for 2024. I actually spent time with Andrew today, because I'm filming this on New Year's Day, writing down what goals I plan to focus on for the year. I'm trying to like keep it a little bit more simple this year and hone in on a couple of things that mean the most to me. And two of those really are just exercise and writing. Those are like my two big focuses for the year, and also saving money. Those are like my three, I would say my like trifecta of goals and priorities, but I will be writing them down in my journal as well. I have a separate journal that I've used for New Year's resolutions ever since 2017, so I always write them down in there first. Moving on to the next page, I did a tracker page. So as I mentioned, exercise and writing are two of my huge focuses for the year. So I have a 2024 at a glance calendar that I just like Googled and found a style that I really liked, printed them out to fit in my journal, and then I created some headers, one for the exercise calendar, one for the writing calendar. And if I write or exercise on the day, I will highlight it on the corresponding calendar so that at the end of the year, I can see how I did on these two focuses. Next is a little bit of an incomplete spread, but I really want to reread a couple of my favorite nonfiction books, or nonfiction books that I feel like I've gotten the most out of. And I want to take some notes on them and just include those notes at the beginning of my bullet journal. So it's something that I'm constantly like referencing and looking at throughout the year as I continue to fill out this year's journal. So First, I have Atomic Habits by James Clear, and then I have Ikigai, which I've actually already read like 3 times, but it's just such a great book. And then this is in the same vein, so this one will also be nonfiction rereads with notes from the book Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia. This was one of my favorite books of 2023. And then for the last book, I actually might change it. I'm not 100% sure, but for now, I'm including The Year of Less by Kate Flanders because this is definitely not a favorite book. However, I did really appreciate all of the insight into like a no spend year essentially, and I just kind of want to like reinforce some of those principles in my mind. Next, I have my year in photos spread. So what I do here is each month of the year I go through and I pick out my favorite photo of the month, and then I print it, I write the corresponding month below it, and then at the end of the year, it's just really fun to look back and see my favorite photos from the year. So I do 4 per page. So this is going to be January through August. Then I have a continued spread, and on the first page, it'll be my favorite photos from September through December, and then final page, I just do 4 extra favorite photos from the rest of the year that I didn't include as my monthly favorite, but they are still favorite photos for whatever reason. Next, I made a page of all of my 2024 park visits. I did this last year and I thought that this was really fun. It was also a good way to keep track of any new parks that I visited for the year and any walks that I've gone on, how I felt about that park. And then next to it, I also have 2024 bookstores, and that's something that I've been doing since probably my 2018 journal. I always just keep a list of all of the bookstores that I visit during any given year. I think that's really fun to look back on. And then in the same vein, I also do a spread for the restaurants that I go to in a year because, again, it's just something that is fun to look back on, and I really like being able to see like, oh, what was that place that we went to that one time, whether it's in state, out of state. It's just nice to look back on. Then I made a little spread for Lore Olympus. I am definitely behind on reading the weekly comic. I think I'm like 42 issues behind or something. So I just made a little spread of them and I'm going to fill in the boxes as I catch up, and I will highlight them in pink and blue for Hades and Persephone. And then right next to it, I have an anime list. So these are the anime that I want to watch during 2024. I have watched the first season of Spy Family, so I just mean like the second season of Spy Family. And then Inuyasha, I've been like really slowly making my way through, but I really would love to finish it this year. I honestly like barely watched any anime in 2023, and I want to get back to like being better about it in 2024. Also on my list is Fruits Basket and Kami-sama Kiss. And for when I say Fruits Basket, I mean the new one. I have watched the old one like a couple of times, but I haven't actually watched the new one that they did more recently. I've never actually heard of My Dress Up Darling, but when I was searching for like minimalist anime posters on Pinterest, this one kept coming up. So I feel like it must be kind of popular if so many people have done graphics for it, and it's like a romantic slice of life shoujo, which I tend to love. So I want to check that out. And then the last one is Comey Can't Communicate, and that is one that Andrew was actually interested in watching, and I thought it sounded cute too, so added it to my list. My next page has 2 spreads. The first spread is my manga and comics tracker. So these are either manga series that I want to finish reading or start and finish reading, and 2 comic series that I've actually already read but I want to reread in 2024. So I'll fill those in as I go, and I left a little bit of space just in case there's anything else that I want to add to it. And then right next to it is something new that I've never done before, but I decided to make a baking diaries page because I absolutely love baking, and I just thought that it would be really fun to like keep a list of everything that I bake throughout the year. But I really want to just like kind of experiment and maybe try like at least one new cookie recipe per month. And I thought that would be fun to just track in my journal. Next up is my best days of 2024 spread. And I did this for 2023 and I really, really liked it. It was so fun to go back and just look at the days that were my best days of the year. Like anytime that I had like a really, really great day and like a really great feeling about everything that happened, I would just write it down as one of my best days. And it was really fun to look back on. And then right next to it, I have a page for trips in 2024. At the moment, Andrew and I just have one trip planned for the year. I honestly don't like traveling, and like if I did not have to go anywhere at all in 2024, I would be so thrilled. But we are doing a little family trip in March, so we are definitely doing that. But I just figured I would keep track of like any little trips that we went on. Next up is my Taylor Swift 2024 deep dive page. I kind of mentioned this when I was on my title page, but Alexa from Alexa Loves Books and I are going to be doing a like Taylor Swift deep dive in 2024, and I'm so excited for it. She is a long-term fan and I am more of a newbie, and I think it's just going to be fun to hear like the perspectives from both of us. But she actually created this spread in her journal because she's also doing a Taylor Swift like reading challenge for the year, and I loved it. So I literally just like straight up copied exactly what she did for hers. Mine's like slightly different because like each of the album titles has a color, whereas hers is more neutrals and in the same tone. And then I added some washi tape to mine, but it is like 100% her idea that I just copied, and she said that was fine. Next is a page that I do every single year in my journal. However, I did it a little bit differently this year, and I really love how it turned out. So the first page is a book tracker, and for that I always draw 100 boxes because my goal is always to read 100 books for the year. I will highlight them as I read books and fill it in as the year progresses. And then on the page right next to it are my reading goals for the year. So I have a bunch of reading goals that I want to accomplish, and yeah, I just have them all written down there so I can check them off as I complete them. And then right below that, I included a new little section, and that is for rereads. I had so much fun rereading a bunch of my favorite series in 2023, and I wanted to continue that in 2024. So I made just a list of some of the ones that are a priority for me. And then right below the spread, like over here, once the year ends, I'll write the total number of books that I read throughout the year, because ideally I will read more than 100, but I only have the space for 100 boxes. Next up is my reading stats page. This is a page that I also do every single year, but I made like little charts for myself probably a couple of years ago, and now I just print them out and paste them into my journal instead of hand drawing each of them. And I also reduced the number of things that I keep track of because it was starting to like kind of be a lot to do. So now I just keep track of how many books I hauled during a month, how many I read, and whether I added or subtracted books from my TBR by combining those two numbers. Then I also keep track of how many books I read physically versus digitally per month, and my star ratings per month. Then right next to that, I made a new page for myself, which is a NetGalley page, and I tried to make it look like a library card. I think it came out really cute. I'm very happy with it. And on here, I just have all of the arcs that I currently have for 2024 on NetGalley. So these are all ones that I want to read. And then I have an empty column for review, and I will just either check it off once it's reviewed or maybe write the date so that it is more like a library card with like the return date. Then moving on to my next page. So this is my series tracker, and these are all of the book series that I'm currently in the middle of reading or that I plan on reading in full in 2024. So I've already filled out the boxes for points that I'm up to in certain series, and then other ones like the Natural series. That's probably like one of my highest priority series. I haven't read any of those yet, but it's Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I just know that I'm going to read all of them. So I included that on here. And I also have space in case there are any other series that I decide to read or binge throughout the year. I feel like there are always new things showing up on Kindle Unlimited that I hadn't heard of, so I wanted to have the space to include anything like that. Next is my 2024 most anticipated book spread. So I always do a spread for my most anticipated books from January to June. And then I do another spread in the middle of my journal that shows my favorite books, not favorite, my most anticipated books from July through December, because a lot of books don't get announced until later in the year if they're coming out like in the latter half. And I don't want to not include something that would be like one of my actual most anticipated. So I've found that this is a good way to break things down for myself. For this spread, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I actually used these like really cute little tissue paper stars that I got when I ordered this 1989 Taylor Swift sweatshirt. They came like in the box when I got my sweatshirt, and I was like, those would be really fun to just use in a journal. So I just kept them and then, pasted them on and then pasted my book covers over them. Once I read each book, I'm going to be writing my star rating like on this side of the star. So I think that that'll look cute throughout the year too. And I've already done a video about these books, so they should look familiar to you. Next up is my 12 books to read in 2024 list. Again, I don't like doing the whole 24 to read in 24 list. I think it gets overwhelming to have too many on a list, and I like sticking to having one book per month as a goal. It just seems more attainable to me. I like to pick a mix of genres, and these are the ones that I landed on. These are all books that have been on my TBR since 2023 or earlier. Next up is another page that I straight up copied from Alexa Loves Books. Her design is different, but the layout is exactly the same. So this is my TBR takedown page. So everything that is listed here is a book that is on my physical TBR as of January 1st, 2024. And I will be checking off each book as I read them throughout the year. If I could check all of these off, that would be absolutely incredible, and my TBR would be in a really great place. Next up, I decided to make a list of 18 books that I want to borrow in 2024. So these are largely books that I don't own that I'm planning on borrowing from the library, because I do want to make it a habit to read either from the library or Kindle Unlimited before I end up buying a book. However, I actually got 5 Survive for Christmas. That one is actually off my list. And then I also got The Housemaid in the Barnes & Noble hardcover sale. So 2 of these I actually do own and will be able to remove from my physical TBR, but this was my initial plan. I can decide if I want to replace them with other books. Next up is my 2024 bookshelf. So this was really fun to do. I'm going to be writing in every single book that I read throughout the year, and then I will color it in. I'm thinking that I'm going to do a color scheme by genre. In journals past, I would usually do 1 color per month, so I could see how many books I read per month. But I think that it would be fun to do something a little different this year and see how many books I read in each genre. And actually for this, I also used the stamps from Quirky Cup Collective, and that made it so much easier to do the spread instead of having to hand draw all of these books. I'm not the best at using stamps yet, but I think it came out pretty good. Next, I decided to do a little spread for my book haul for the year. So I usually would keep track of what books I purchased in my monthly spreads, but I decided to this year do a yearly spread. That way I also have more limited space. So this is 60 books, and then I just did a little continued page, and then this is 60 books. So if I stuck to not buying more than what's listed here, I will have purchased either 10 books a month or less, which would be really, really great. Next up is my list of films to watch. So these are just movies that I haven't gotten to for whatever reason. I'm not a huge movie watcher, so they're ones that I am hoping to get to. I definitely like watching movies at home more than going to a theater. This page is movies that are already out, and this page is movies that are coming out in 2024. And then same idea I did for a TV list. So this one I actually outlined though. So the first page is all TV shows that are already out, that most of them came out last year or have a season that came out last year. Then I have 3 nostalgia shows that I'm watching. Andrew and I are actually already in the middle of the X-Files, and I'm already, I want to say halfway into the first season of the OC. And then right below that are 3 shows that have new seasons coming out in 2024 that I'm excited to watch. Then I just did a little reading log for 2024. So I will write down every book that I read in this reading log, and then on the right side of the page, I'll just write down how many stars I gave it. And same thing for this. This is just a continuation. And same thing for this. And then the only other thing that I haven't done yet is this page will be my 2024 winter bucket list, but I haven't created that yet. And then after that, I'll work on my January spreads, but that is my journal. I hope that you enjoyed. Okay, so that is my 2024 bullet journal. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon in a new one. Bye!